What was your dream as a kid?
I always had this magical dream of unbounded adventures in faraway places and doing all sorts of cool stuff. I always felt that a career in the healthcare area as a medical professional would allow me to continue some degree of adventures. With the advent of artificial intelligence and those sorts of technologies, education is going through quite a huge amount of change right now, and it's upsetting all the normal things we knew about education and knew to be true. At the end of the day, what I always tell my students is,
Welcome to the Young Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Malina, and I'm 15 years old. Today's guest is the Associate Dean for the Faculty of Business at Fanshawe College. He has an impressive academic background with a bachelor's in human genetics and biology from McGill University, a master's in electrical and biomedical engineering, and a Ph.D. in medicine. I'm super excited for this conversation, so let us welcome Dr. Dave Sainani. Welcome to the Young Leaders Podcast, Dr. Sainani. How are you doing today?
great, thank you so much for having me, Malina. I'm looking forward to having a chat with you.
I'm super excited for this conversation. But before we do start, I do have a quick question.
Okay.
If I need a degree, could I just ask you to write me?
Well, I think there are a whole bunch of people who might take exception to that, but I can see what I can do.
Okay, thank you. I guess that's going to be the easy way around going through school.
Yep.
So we're going to start off with our mystery question that was left by our previous guest.
Okay. All right.
The question is, what is something that you are absolutely most grateful for?
If I were to focus on one thing, I would say it's probably the opportunity I've had to make a difference and leave some sort of a lasting impact in the lives of my students. So whether it's been, from a professional point of view or a personal point of view, I deal with a large number of international students, and some of them are new to the country. Many of them are new to the country completely, and their first interaction with someone from Canada has been me in the classroom. So to be able to help them navigate the system, to master their coursework, to understand what it's like to be in a completely different environment, and then to see them successful has been wonderful. I continue to get wedding invitations and birth announcements from my students. I really feel like we've made a lasting relationship, and it's been an absolute delight to keep in touch and see their successes and help them celebrate their successes.
That's absolutely amazing. I guess you get more free food with all the wedding invitations.
Yeah, sadly, most of them are in other countries, and so I don't often get a chance to attend.
Okay, well, now we're going to go down memory lane.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about, I guess, what was your dream as a kid? And is it related to what you're doing now?
Wow. Okay, my dream as a kid. Um, so I guess I never felt any lack of dreams or opportunities growing up. I always had this magical dream of unbounded adventures in faraway places and doing all sorts of cool stuff. And I was extremely fortunate to have been able to live out quite a number of those adventures in faraway places. So that was fun growing up. At some point, I recognized that it's probably high time I started to at least think about growing up. And I always felt that a career in the healthcare area as a medical professional would allow me to continue some degree of adventures. I sort of gravitated towards organizations like the World Health Organization or Doctors Without Borders as those places where I thought I would really love to work. Having said that, I've also always been fascinated with technology and gadgets and those sorts of things. And so I always searched for a way to combine both of those interests and passions into some kind of a meaningful existence, for lack of a better word. So I worked in the area of telemedicine, assistive technologies for disabled people, rehabilitation medicine, global health. Then I was a professor at Western for a number of years before setting off on my own entrepreneurial journey in academia, industry, and the not-for-profit sector. So lots of dreams. Some came true. Some I'm still waiting for, but hope springs eternal.
Well, I hope all of them come through because we have this one beautiful life, and there's no point in living life without actually going out on those adventures and having
Absolutely.
fun and fulfilling all your dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And you have a really cool academic background. You've got two bachelors, you
Hmm.
have a PhD, and you have a master's.
Yep.
Were you that type of person who would always want to be, I guess, into education, or did it just, I guess, you were just lucky enough to have all of it happen?
So I started out with this desire to go into med school and pursue that idea of being a healthcare professional. And then both of my parents were engineers. And so the talk around the dinner table was always about engineering. And I was fascinated by that and really wanted to be able to join in the conversations with mom and dad. So I finished my degree in genetics and then flipped over to engineering. And it really sort of combined my love for technology and gadgets and those sorts of things, and ended up staying in engineering, and then decided to figure out or pursue areas where I could apply those engineering concepts and principles to healthcare, to medicine. So I got involved in those sorts of things. I built some technology for the hospitals here in London during my bachelor's degree and then my master's degree. Got into research, did some research in the area of telemedicine and telehealth, and that really managed to successfully marry those two loves of mine, which was the healthcare side and the technology side. Um, on the PhD side, it was something I guess I somewhere along the line I got that sort of bug, and decided that if I've lasted this long in a university environment, why not just go and get the PhD and see where that takes me. So I did that in the Faculty of Medicine, in an area to do with heart and circulation, but again marrying some physical concepts of things called chaos theory, and how that's applied to natural systems or living systems. So I've crossed back and forth across that line between healthcare and engineering a number of times.
And
Yeah.
do you think it's like, I guess, okay for teenagers and young kids who, I guess, don't really know what they want to do to go after two or three different things?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what I always tell my students is, my wish for you is that you wake up excited and happy with a big smile on your face, and you can't wait to get to work. So find something that is your passion. I myself have taken on a number of different careers over the years, whether it's been in the not-for-profit sector or academia or industry. And I think the journey has been wonderful. I don't regret a minute of it. So as long as you're happy doing what you're doing, and you have that continued passion and you love getting up and going to work, I would say it's okay not to know upfront what you want to do. You'll find that in time. Most of my adventures have always started with having a cup of coffee with someone, and they've led to just the most amazing experiences I've had in my life. So I don't say no to those sorts of things. Keep my mind open, but adaptability, flexibility, keeping that open mind are key to success. So don't be overstressed if you don't know exactly what you want to do. Very likely, by the time if you're a high school student, by the time you get into the workforce, those careers may have changed incredibly. And so, it'll be a process of lifelong learning. And as long as you're up for those sorts of journeys and challenges, I think you'll be fine.
And when it relates to, I guess, technology and the healthcare
Hmm.
or technology and education, I'm going to get into a little bit more. Um, I guess, what do you think about today's education? Like, do you think it's, I guess, good, or does it have like some gaps? Like, compared to when you were in school and now, how has it like changed?
It's changed inexorably. It's changed generationally. We're it's continuing to rapidly evolve. Certainly, with the advent of artificial intelligence and those sorts of technologies, education is going through quite a huge amount of change right now, and it's upsetting all the normal things we knew about education and knew to be true. But schools, universities, and colleges will still be needed. Their roles will, however, change significantly. So the way I see it, it's going to be the difference between traditional degrees, bachelor's, master's, PhDs, those sorts of things, and alternative credentials. So the universities will continue to be relevant, especially for the professional schools, whether it's medicine or engineering or law, those sorts of things. But industries like IT are shifting towards much smaller duration certifications or micro credentials or hands-on experience over traditional degrees. So we're seeing a lot of people reskilling, getting into the workforce and looking for a second career option. And those are the sorts of things that are going to be the focus: skills-based learning, technology and education, and the cost factors are going to be factors that all impact the education system.
I've heard like some people say that maybe they aren't because AI will replace it like completely of having that, I guess, tutor. Because I know when I do my work, like you can't have 24/7 access to your teachers. So when you need help with something, I usually ask ChatGPT not to give me like the answers, but instead to explain to me, like tutor me on how do I do this topic in math. because I'm doing grade 11
Right.
math, so it's a little harder for some topics. I'm
Yep.
like, how do you do this topic in math? Explain it to me, give me questions like that. So I feel like
Right.
that's like already a big gap on how AI is like, I guess, transforming our world.
Yep.
But how do you think it would work inside of schools? Like, do you think they'll replace teachers?
I hope not, and I say that partially selfishly, having been a professor for a number of years. But I think there's so much. We're not at the stage with the development of AI where we can simply replace the professor with a box or something like that. I think there's so much of the nonverbal communication. There's so much of the nuances that AI is not able to master yet, and it's you learn so much by the verbal communication, the tone of the professor, the look and feel of the creation of a safe space, the ability to ask questions, the ability to interact with others. I think those sorts of things are irreplaceable. Most of our professors are, top of game. They're the consummate actors. They know when a student isn't getting something, right? They know when their eyes have glazed over or when the light bulbs have gone on, right? And so I think to replace that, we're quite far away from getting an AI system to be able to replicate those sorts of experiences. I think there's so much more of the nuanced experiences and those sorts of real life kind of testimonials that professors will always have a place in the classroom. Certainly, AI is an amazingly competent adjunct for if a student is has to work in an asynchronous mode and is not able to attend classes. It's a great way to shore up some of the learning that they may have missed or the points they may have missed. It's something that doesn't get tired, doesn't get fed up. You can pick up where you left off. You can come back to it anytime, and you can ask it all sorts of different things. I think the ability to have real human interaction with people adds so much more color and nuance to the experience.
And so, what exactly do you do as an associate dean?
Some of it is focused on strategy and direction setting for the school. So I'm the associate dean for the Faculty of Business, but my portfolio or my area of responsibility is the School of Information Technology. So it's strategy and direction setting, it's financial management, operations. I look after our current programs and offerings, whether they're diploma programs or advanced diploma programs. I help in the development of new programs. So our faculty are great at suggesting, coming to me and going, Dave, I think, what about if we created a program that did X, Y, Z? So it's the new program offerings, it's being responsive to industry needs, it's quality assurance, so assessing the quality of our programs, our courses, the faculty themselves, the people. It's developing and maintaining internal and external partnerships with industry, with other academic institutions, with research organizations. In our college, we offer a number of different pathways and exchange opportunities for students so that they can travel abroad and complete a term in another country. We work closely with industry, so we're very receptive to what industry is saying, to the trends that are going on in industry at the moment, and then the trends that are still to come. So I'm always trying to think of what the environment is going to be like 2 or 3 years down the road, so that when I start a program, I'll know that when my students graduate in 2 or 3 years, they will be ready to start a job in that field. A job for them will still exist. So we're always looking forward, trying to understand what the environment is bringing, what the landscape is looking like, and industry helps us with that. They give us a sense of where they are going, what their needs are, and then also professional development for our faculty and staff. So in some of our new programs, our faculty may need specialized training to develop some expertise or develop the curriculum. So it's those sorts of things as well. It's a myriad of other things. The nice thing about being an associate dean is the variety. So it's not just being a leader and managing people and those sorts of things. It's getting right down into the details many times as
That's
well.
very cool. Does it not, like, I guess, overwhelm you when you have like tens of different things to do every day?
I enjoy the variety. It certainly requires a discipline to manage things and to be able to time slice and be effective at all the different things
Hmm.
that you do. And some days are better than others, but it's enjoyable.
Okay, that's so cool. And when it comes, like, I've heard many people say that if you're starting a business or you're an entrepreneur, that you can just, I guess, learn some of the skills. And if you build a good business, you don't, I guess, need to go to university or have that education. And then others say that if you want to be an entrepreneur and go to business or be in that, I guess, sector of business, that you should go to school, get your degree, and then you can start your business. I guess what are your thoughts on that?
So I think it's largely dependent on the area in which you're starting your business. Um, Personally, for myself, I like to have the subject matter expertise. Also, I think you end up being a better leader if you can understand the nuances and the different aspects of what's happening in the business, and then how to respond to market needs. So there are things that may be happening in the market that you're unable to respond to for a variety of different reasons. Maybe it's a limitation in your resource pool. Maybe it's a limitation in the business model you've developed or the technology you're using. But I think without understanding those things firsthand and having lived those lives in different aspects of the company, I think those are some of the key factors that do lead to success. I know of a lot of companies where you will hire a CEO to be a CEO of a company, and that person may come in without any real domain expertise, and they may be top of game or right on it in terms of process and those sorts of things. But I really feel that understanding the actual domain or the nature of the business is essential for
So,
success.
like, if there's like a high schooler, for example, I work on creating business. I have this podcast as well, which I kind of treat as my business.
Mhm.
I know that
Yep.
I want to go to one of the universities over here as well, but is it necessary for someone who's starting at like a young age to have to go through it, or can they, like, I guess, do what they're doing, learn a bunch of it, and if they're able to build that business successfully within like a couple of years, would they still need that same education?
You may not. One of the keys to success is, and one of a lot of the leaders that I talk to reinforce me the need and the value of having smart people around you, so that you're always, or you're never the smartest person in the room. You always have people that you hire who are smarter than you, who understand these things completely. There are pluses and minuses to that strategy. Also, obviously, you need to have trust. You need to be able to let go. You need to be able to not micromanage. You need to be able to let processes unravel as they will, and you need to trust people. You've hired them to do a job. You need to empower them and support them. So you don't need to be the be all and end all. You can be that person who hires the expertise around you and makes things work. So as a high school student, you don't need to know every detail necessarily. You may relish in doing that if it's a highly technical thing, or it's something that's creative and innovative and you're the first on the block to do it, then obviously you need to know what you're doing. But it really depends on the nature of the business. For things that are obviously very detailed and technologically intricate, it helps to understand those business process, to understand those technologies, so that when you are crafting and adapting business models and business processes to solve those problems, you have that insider kind of look at things as well. So it really is, it's the standard consultant's answer, which is it depends. Depends on the domain, depends on the time, depends on the people and the resources you have around you as well. So it's a long way of trying to answer your question.
Yeah, but that's okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of reminds me of my dad tells me as well sometimes. It's like when you're in a room, even if you are, I guess, smart, like don't be the smartest
Yep.
because you never know who you're going to learn from. My dad always tells me in that it's also not about the age, it's about, I guess, being
Yep.
around those people who can help teach you and help guide you.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Many of my faculty, and they range from folks who are recently out of school to folks who are at the end of their career, and there is value in the conversations and everything that every one of them brings to the table. So it's not predicated on cultural background or age or any of those sorts of things. It's that drive, that passion, that those qualities that make that individual special.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
do you like feel like the school system might be slow?
For many folks it is slow. For many folks it's painfully slow. For it the and it depends on where in the education system you are, whether it's a university institution or a college institution. So fundamentally they are quite different. So the university does provide a solid foundational kind of education, whereas the college system to date has been more focused on tech transfer, on getting people out into the workforce, and more applied skills. Obviously, both those institutions are now encroaching on each other's space, and so we see very many, very excellent applied programs in university sectors. as well as some great foundational and basic research coming out of college systems as well. So it's adapting to the times, adapting to the needs, and obviously with technology creeping into every aspect of business, tourism, hospitality, all the sectors, arts, and culture as well. It's a constantly evolving game.
Okay. And I guess I've
Yeah.
heard, like, I know, like, a lot of people say that, hey, I want to go to this university, I want to go to that university, usually like the top universities. Does it actually
Yep.
matter, I guess, which university you go to, or is it more about, I guess, the education? Does it, like, is there a difference?
There are going to be differences in the opportunities available to you based on the institution you go to. And so, if you look at pure credentials, there may be more PhDs at a university than in a college system, right? That's not to say that it's a better system. A lot of it is what you make of it. Obviously, the opportunities you take advantage of, and what you do with those opportunities. I've seen top flight researchers come out of college systems, and I've seen PhD level candidates who couldn't hold a candle to an undergraduate student coming out of a college system. So it really just depends on the individual. It's what makes each one of us special. But I think and it also depends on whether you're going to continue on to professional school. Again, my opinion only. So if you're going to a doctor's office and you're sitting with your doctor and they have their diplomas or degrees on the wall, you're really not that concerned really where they went to do their bachelor's degree, right? You may not even be concerned with where they did their medical degree. What you're concerned with is their advice sound? Is it actionable? Is it going to solve your problem? And that really can come from anyone, from any sector. It's lovely to have great degrees on the wall, and you can point to them and all those sorts of things. But very often, people are interested in what you can do for them, the value they are going to bring into your lives, and it's not tied to whether you went to an Ivy League institution or whether you went to an institution in a smaller domain. It really does come back down to what you do with it and how you leverage that experience.
Okay. And I guess now we can go into the mystery question that you have for our next.
I have, oh boy, okay. So I was thinking about this one and I was chuckling to myself of all the possible questions I could
You can only
ask.
ask one.
But the one I came up with was that if you can uncover the truth behind one unsolved mystery, whether it was from history, science, or even your own life, what would that be and why?
That is a very, very deep thinking question. I like it. This is going to be
Yeah.
fun.
Okay.
Do you
All
have,
right.
I guess, a mystery that you would want to solve?
I have way too many mysteries,
Okay.
all of which remain
Yeah,
unsolved.
one of them that's been in, I guess, in my mind since I was, I don't know, 6 or 7 is the Bermuda Triangle. And there's like all these theories
Yeah,
behind it. And I'm like, maybe it's an alien,
I know,
meteor or
right?
something.
Exactly.
Like, it's a, you never know what it is. And it's so much fun.
Yep,
Well,
yep, yeah. And I love a good conspiracy theory, so I have all sorts of mysteries to still to solve.
yeah, I love the mystery. I've
Yeah.
seen so many documentaries as well on these aliens and
Mhm.
stuff. But
Right,
it's super cool,
right,
and
right,
I
right.
really
Yeah.
enjoyed this conversation. I guess before
Oh,
we
thank you.
end
Likewise.
off, would you like to
Yeah.
tell I guess our viewers, what is a hidden talent that you have?
I'm an avid photographer, but I'm also a pilot.
Oh,
So I fly
oh,
planes.
that's
Yeah,
very cool.
yeah. I try not to mix the two. If I'm flying, I focus on the flying, not the photography.
That's
Uh,
not a good idea.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. But those are two things I enjoy
That's
doing.
very, very
Yeah.
cool. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Sainani, for bringing your insightful knowledge to this podcast. I learned a lot from this podcast and from this episode and this conversation, and I really hope our viewers do as well.